Greetings, YouTube. It is Friday, January 27, 2023, and the game director of Overwatch 2, Aaron Keller, has surprised us with a blog because they promised us more communication, and this is what it entails. A lot of times, Overwatch communicates on Twitter where they just tweet out a random update, but not everybody has that platform, so actually using their website is probably the best way to go about it. And also, following content creators like KarQ will also be a secondary channel for me to deliver news to you in case you don't like reading. I'll read it out to you like Audible. Aaron Keller says this as of today. Hi, everyone. I'm going to pretend I'm Jeff Kaplan, you know, the old ones where he talks on the screen on YouTube. This piece is aimed at looking at some of the topics that have come up in the community over the course of Season 2. Okay, I can't talk like Jeff. I can't do it. I'm just going to talk in my own voice. This won't be comprehensive enough to look at everything that players are talking about, but our intent is to do this every few weeks, so we will be able to start diving into smaller topics as we go. Also, the goal here is to keep you up to date on what we're thinking and planning, but not necessarily be the source of all the reasoning and detail behind these decisions. Wow, so he prefaced it by saying, this is just to keep you up to date what we're thinking about, but not all the details, because they can't reveal it. Sure. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing they're going to say is that the new ranked mode has suffered from poor comprehension. Clearly. There's a lot of people here who complain about winners queue, losers queue, win streaks, lose streaks. Why is this silver player in my master's lobby? Why am I in this lobby? Why am I in that lobby? Why is this player here? Why is this player there? Okay. There was some confusion around players' real rank and how that translated to their skill level, difficulty forming groups with friends, and a negative impression of the matchmaker when players of different ranks were put in the same match, even if their skill levels were similar. We will be implementing some changes in Season 3 and quite a few more in Season 4, all aimed at creating more clarity in the system. More details on short-term changes and long-term vision will be coming soon. Trademark, yes, the classic Blizzard soon. So, what they're doing, chat, is creating more clarity, but not necessarily changing anything of it per se, but just clarity to help you guys comprehend it better, because apparently nobody understands their system, but I don't know if they're actually making any changes to it. I think people just have a negative impression simply because they see a player at this rank and they think something's wrong with the matchmaker, when in reality, maybe nothing was wrong to begin with. And even in Overwatch 1, you couldn't see it, but maybe it was similar there. Honestly, I'm a little confused too at this point. Okay. We've gotten feedback from players that the game doesn't feel rewarding enough to play and that players can't earn the items they want in a short enough period of time. We'll be making a change in Season 3 that should address some of those complaints. This is a first step. We'll have more details to share about this next week. Okay, more details coming soon. Details next week. Okay. There are a fair number of changes to alt cost in Season 3. We'll be lowering the alt refund when swapping heroes to 25% as part of this tuning pass. Okay, so we actually have a little update. So if you guys don't know, swapping heroes right now retains 30% of your ultimate charge relative to the hero's total. Now it's getting nerfed to 25%. It's a 5% difference. It's not that significant on paper. I've heard SVB and other creators say that ultimate cost being retained was terrible for tanks because the tank v tank counter pick matchup is a lot more prevalent, and if like one tank starts on one and the other, you have a team fight clash, the first team that dies will swap to the counter and then they won't be punished. They'll retain all their alt charge, and now they're just going to be at an advantage afterward. That was the complaint about it. I'm not sure if 5% is really gonna make a big difference. I'm curious to why they're thinking their 5% would be. Maybe this is more of the incremental change that they always like to do, just small changes until they find a sweet spot, but 5% doesn't feel like much. They're not really diving into why they're doing this, but I guess this is a first step. Okay. All right, balance frequency is also a big topic. Bug fixes to hotfixing should enable us to address balance faster and would have enabled us to tune Hog earlier in Season 2. We're still planning on initial and mid-season patch each season, but now have the full ability to fill in between those as necessary. Okay, so in this paragraph, they say balance frequency is a big topic. Bug fixing. Okay, so honestly, I think balance frequency, I disagree with people saying Blizzard doesn't make changes. I mentioned this before, where Blizzard started season 2, December 6th. They had a balance patch. That's one. They had a second balance patch 9 days later, the hotfix patch, where they super buffed Ramatra and made some quick changes. They did the mid-season balance patch, where they buffed the spicy Junker Queen buffs, and then they just did a late-season balance patch a few days ago. So that's 4 patches in a single season. So I think frequency is actually pretty decent. However, the frequency doesn't mean much if the changes I feel like aren't, I guess, significant enough to address some of the issues. I guess what they're trying to do in these in-between patches is incremental stuff, and I suppose the new season would be the more bigger, more drastic changes. It's still something, so we can criticize Blizzard in other ways, but frequency shouldn't really be a big thing. And now that they've fixed this hot fixing thing, hopefully they probably would have tuned Hog earlier, is what they would have said. I don't know. I think they're looking at stuff like one-shots and stuff. Oh, wait, sorry. Let me just finish this article first, and then we can talk a little bit more about that. Then they mentioned one-shots and frustrating hero mechanics are now being discussed a lot in the community and on the team. This is an ongoing discussion, but the topic has a lot of nuances that involves the frequency of those mechanics, the trade-offs for using it, and the overall power level of a hero, how often the hero is played, and as well as things like a hero's fantasy. Oh, you mean like the lore, like their identity, I suppose, right? Just know that we're listening here. The feedback has been great and very welcomed, and we'll come back to this when we have more to share. Thanks so much for reading. Keep the feedback coming. We're listening, Aaron. So that's it for the developer update. They did promise more communication, and this is all they can say. It's a lot of like, soon, we're listening, we have more to share later. It was a whole lot of fluff, but it is something. They're just, their idea is to just kind of keep you in the loop that they're looking at stuff, and to update you on a little tease. So okay, this is better than nothing, but for me, this didn't feel like much, I'm gonna be honest with you, because they didn't really dive into like a lot of the whys. If you guys remember like the early Overwatch 1 Jeff Kaplan developer updates, he'd talk there for 8 minutes and explain reasonings why they decided to do X, Y, and Z. If Aaron Keller were on camera and he read the script out, it would be like a 2-minute video tops, right? It was pretty short. I guess with like resource allocation and stuff, maybe Aaron doesn't have time to sit down and talk on. I actually missed those. I would prefer that, maybe a written version of the entire video script, and then a talking one on the main Overwatch channel would be nice, so at least more people can see it, because not everybody reads these blog articles. That's the first feedback on this. The other thing I actually wanted to talk about was elaborating on the balance frequency. So I said they're doing the frequency, but it doesn't really mean much if they like don't address the issues that people are bringing up. So I think one-shots are like the biggest hot topic right now. So they did address Roadhog, but the Sojourn nerfs that they just did in this recent late balance patch doesn't address the problem of just getting randomly railed across the map. I guess the one thing they did nerf in this patch was the trade-offs for using it, or sorry, the frequency of the mechanic of the one-shot. They're trying to lower the frequency of it by lowering the time to build up the energy charge, but it doesn't reduce the whole like idea of getting randomly railed with the mercy damage, which are 195 damage. I've already said this before, I think the one-shot mechanic of Sojourn, she doesn't need to headshot on rail. I think you can keep the old energy gain, but just only allow her to body shot. It's like 130 damage at 100 charges, quite a bit. You can like make her more of an SMG, like maybe the SMG does 10 again, maybe the spread gets reduced, but just don't let her headshot on the rail. That's the frustrating part. And then just make her like a brawler. She still has a huge, great mobility. Her overclock could still let her rail. We'd want to reduce, if I were up to me, I would reduce that 20%. Like I think earlier in season 2, they gave her 20% quicker energy gain on overclock. Get rid of that because it builds way too fast. Allow it to build up, but you can headshot again in that ultimate, but only there. And I still think she would be a good hero in that capacity. What else is there? That's basically it in this article. There wasn't much. It's just very fluffy. And the only biggest thing tease is for this. And we've heard the Blizzard soon all the time. I don't even know what this means at this point. I feel like I've read this over and over again. It's less about like, I get it, how you're just bringing it up, but it's just, It just doesn't feel like much. I'm a little disappointed in the contents of it. Not so much that they're communicating. I like that, but like the contents of the communication don't mean much. The contents of the last late season patch didn't mean much. Didn't really affect KarQ, Orisa, Sojourn much at all. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Let me read what you guys are saying in the chat now. Sorry, I was like totally ignoring you. It's totally going to make counter swapping weaker. You guys are talking about this, right? Yeah, it doesn't do much there. Blizzard soon is me saying yeah to people I haven't seen in a while to the we should totally hang out soon. That's actually a good point. You would rather them not communicate and make good changes? I disagree. I think it's fine for them to communicate, but like, I wish there was less red tape. Is it red tape? What's stopping them from communicating a little bit more? Maybe marketing team is like, don't reveal too much because we want the new season to be a bit more hype. I think you can, it's less, you can tease one thing, but maybe explain it a bit more and then still save some good stuff for like marketing hype, sure. What's stopping them from revealing a little bit more in advance? I don't really understand it. But again, I'm not a marketer, I suppose. Or is it marketing, like I said, who knows? KarQ, if they say something, Blizzard people will hold Blizzard hostage to those statements, and if they don't agree with the changes, they get hate flamed. Also true, if they say something, they'll hold them hostage to the statement, I suppose, so they keep it very open-ended. There was actual more communication when Jeff was there explaining the reasoning, and the team was just fine. That's true. That's why I feel like they could revert back to what they did in 2017, a candid developer blog, a candid discussion. Put it on YouTube. I'm no marketer, like I said, but what's wrong with marketing on TikTok and YouTube now? Turn this into a video. I think it's worth your time. I don't know what Aaron's day-to-day is, and listen, Aaron's a great guy. I met him. I had a chat with him in September when I met him. He's a good dude. So I don't know what his day-to-day is. I'm sure they're very busy, but I think this is actually worth their time. Seriously. You can have like a team like write up like a more comprehensive detail thing. You just need to, I know a lot of them work from home. Just sit there and read it. I heard there's new NVIDIA technology where like you can read it and your eyes will look like they're at the camera. Have you guys seen that? I don't know, advertising is pretty important, man. I could be the one to make the video for them. No, you need the game director to be candid with the community. Being like Aaron's got goodwill, I think. He's a good dude. Very eloquent, very articulate. I just hope they add a little bit more, that's all. I don't really have much of a reaction to this article because there wasn't much. Except a little bit of disappointment, that's all.